Cavan-based GAA club Gauna have announced a new partnership with local member-founded sports tech startup ClubSpot. ClubSpot are going to be sponsoring Gauna GAA's club grounds in a naming rights deal that is the first of its kind for a GAA club. ClubSpot Park, as it will now be known, will be the home of Gauna GAA as the small club aims to reach the top of Cavan football once again. ClubSpot creates mobile apps for sports clubs in order to help them communicate with their members and boost their revenues by providing a system to manage club news, events, messaging and online fundraising. Delighted to welcome star of Gauna, star of Cavan, Conor Madden to the show. Conor, how are you keeping?
How's it going on? How's things?
Good now. Presumably this is great news for the club and immediately it's one less thing to worry about when it comes to cobbling together resources.
Yeah, we're lucky that we have a ClubSpot founder, John Hyland, as one of our members, and John's very innovative with his thinking, and this is just one of his latest innovations that he has come up with was the renaming of the clubs. But when he said it to me first, I was wondering, when I actually heard the whole plan of it, it's a great idea, and I'm sure clubs will adapt it across the country.
When people come up to you and talk about your goal in 2020, does your mind generally go to your goal for Cavan or that goal that you scored for Gauna last year?
I think up until probably those to final, I probably would have said the other goal for Gauna, but it's hard to look past maybe the goal for Cavan last year and those to final. It's definitely something to remember for a long time.
I want to get onto that in just a moment, but the goal for Gauna is incredible. For people who haven't seen it, it's a high ball into the box. You've got a knack of arriving late into the square, timing your run perfectly. It's fisted out by the goalkeeper, I think, and you catch it literally on the volley. No catching of the ball, on the volley with the right boot. Is it the right boot? I think it is.
Yeah, it's the right boot, yeah.
Top corner. I presume that comes from a soccer background.
No, unfortunately, there's no soccer clubs in and around where we come from, bar just a bit of five-a-side during the winter, but no soccer clubs around here. Yeah, but it's one of those things that it's great when you pull it off. If it hadn't went in, I'm sure I would have been getting a ball from the sideline.
Why don't more forwards do that?
I'd say probably for that reason. There is a bit of a bollocking that could come, but no, look, I think I just thought at the time was the best opportunity for me to get a goal, and luckily enough it came off. We actually didn't win that game, unfortunately. So
yeah,
it would have been a bit sweeter if we would have won it. I
can imagine. There was, though, a cherry on the cake of last year for you, though. Like, what was the afterglow of that Ulster final win like, Conor? The whole Christmas that follows, the winter of actually being Ulster champions.
Yeah, look, it was obviously surreal. The whole fact of COVID was present at the time, it still is. But especially back then, we were under a heavy lockdown, and just for those few weeks or whatever, the month of October, November, December, it gave the people of Cavan just took their mind off everything that was happening outside of football. So it was looking back on it now, it was definitely surreal, and it was something that we'll all live long in the memory. But unfortunately, we were brought back down to earth there in the last couple of weeks, and with our league performances, so it's just a matter of trying to park that now and forget. As much as 2020 was sweet and we'll always remember it, it's just about trying to switch it back on now and getting focused for the upcoming championship. At
the same time, how much was the success of 2020 down to being brought down to earth by relegation at the start of last year?
Yeah, look, we're going into an Ulster championship with a very similar sort of thing this year, because last year we had two poor performances just as the championship was starting against Kildare and Roscommon. So the championship actually was sort of welcome that it was a way of getting your mind off the performances in the league, and a good performance in championship and things don't belong like being forgotten. So we're sort of hoping that's the case again this year.
What is the reality of where Cavan are at then, in your view? I presume that you don't think you even deserve to be Division 3 team at this point, given you've been in Division 1 in the not too distant past. You've obviously beaten multiple Division 1 teams in the space of the last year as well. What is the level you feel that this team and this bunch of players should be at?
Yeah, look, we don't feel we are, but we are where we are, and that's something we have to face up to the reality of. And we will be playing Division 4 football next year, and look, we can have to hold our hands up and say that we've got ourselves into that position. But in saying that, we do believe that we can compete with pretty much all the teams in the country on our given day, and it's just a matter of us being able to show up and bringing the same consistency of performance to be. It doesn't matter who you're playing, be it a Division 4 or a Division 1 team. I think that's probably something that we're looking at, and we're going to try and fix sort of as we progress.
Have you been able to put your finger on what the difference is, the Cavan that we saw in the championship last year and the league version of Cavan that we've seen? Because like it's not just winning a championship by fluke, because you can't win an Ulster championship by fluking your way through it.
Yeah, look, it's something that we probably have dug down into and trying to sort of get an answer for, but we probably find that our sort of performances are based on the teams we're playing, and that level of consistency is something that the top teams, that we sort of strive to try and achieve and replicate. That it doesn't matter who you're playing, that you're applying the same principles of performance against Division 1 or Division 4 teams. But it's definitely something that we need to improve on, and we've this year is just, again, has been sort of a realisation. We've had back-to-back relegations at this stage, and we're eager to stop the slide and sort of increase or improve on our league form, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be going out every year and trying to salvage come championship.
In between the Ulster Championship and this league campaign, there was obviously a game against Dublin in between. How much did you learn from that night?
Yeah, look, I think the Dublin game was a real sort of eye opener for us. That we obviously probably have played Dublin in the league, but I think everyone would agree Dublin in the league and the championship are a different team. So just their sheer sort of aggression and their physicality is probably something that you look past when you see all the talented forwards and talented players they have. But their willingness to work hard in all areas of the field is probably something that we only really realise when it comes up against them, and it's something that we've taken from it. That it's a team that's striving for 7 in a row, and they're still applying the same pressure and the same intensity all over the field. And if we could take something from it, it'd be a big learning that that if they can apply themselves in that way, it should be an absolute fundamental for anyone trying to get up to that level.
The vast majority of people, pretty much everybody listening to this, will have never seen that up close. So can you describe what that is like when the Dubs are in that level of intensity?
Yeah, it's just like, I suppose, when we played in there last year, it was in terms of there's bodies everywhere. You feel like sometimes you could be playing against 17, 18 players. And you're never too far away from contact and being that actually comfortable on the ball. And I'm sure that's just whatever way that they've learned to play and how to sort of communicate with each other. That they always seems to be working in 2s and 3s. You rarely get a Dublin player isolated in a sort of a one-on-one. And I think that's what we found the biggest thing, that they were definitely very hard to sort of break down, number one, but then also going up the opposite end of the field, it sort of made things look a bit even more simple. Getting to the game line and then their shots away even were something that they seem like they're simple enough shots they're taking, but the ability to get up to the situations is something that it's probably unspoken about. But getting up into that area of the field is quite difficult, and they just seem to make it very easy.
You've played all the big boys at this stage, like whether it's at league or obviously when it comes from the Ulster Championship as well. So is that just something that no other team has, that relentless ability to feel like it's 17 men on the pitch? Yeah, look, I suppose saying that we've played a lot of number of teams, through Division 1 and then also the Championship, and so some teams can bring that level of aggression, but I think it's the whole rounded nature of the Dublin team, that it's not just that they bring that level of aggression and physicality, but then they also have the skill sets that if you try and they can mix it up, and they can play a kicking game, they can move the ball through the lines. It's their ability to probably switch up the play and cater to whatever sort of any team or opposition puts in front of them is probably something that we probably wouldn't have been used to, and I think that's probably what has kept them a level above everybody else. So what have you done differently in training this year or in preparation for this year's Ulster Championship?
I suppose, look, it was probably a shortened enough season, so we probably used the league, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but we probably used the league as sort of to try and implement some new areas of a game plan, or not even new areas of a game, but just bring some of them principles that I've just spoken about to our play in terms of that, relentless aggression. And it's not something that you can just, it's something that we would have thought we would have been able to bring before this, but bringing it up to another level is something that we're trying to, get to. But it's not going to happen overnight. Like the top teams, they've been doing that for a couple of years, year in, year out. and they're still always trying to perfect it. So it's just a matter of being able to apply it in training, but then the big thing is applying it in games.
And is that a mental challenge, Conor, do you think, or is it a physical one?
It's definitely a bit of both. It's not all done on a training field. There's a lot of analysis done away from the field as well, and that as well is a major sort of part in becoming, sort of reaching new levels. And I think that's one area that we've tried to work on in the last probably 12 to 18 months is what our work is away from the field. And I think that's probably hopefully something that we'll see come true in the next while.
Just one other thing I wanted to ask you about. We had Enda McGinley on the show yesterday morning, and we were asking him about what sort of championship he'd like to be managing in next year as Antrim manager. What's your take on that? What sort of championship do you want to be playing in next year, given, I guess, that there is a world in which Cavan could be in a second tier, given you're coming from a low enough base? I guess it all depends on special congress, but like, are you enjoying the way the championship has been pre-COVID? Are you kind of like a leave it and let us compete?
I suppose up in Ulster especially, we all sort of have a view of a very competitive championship. And there has been, even though Donegal, Tyrone probably have dominated to a certain extent, there seems to be a bit more competition. So we'd be probably more of the traditional mindset of view that we sort of want the championship kept the same. But then we have to be realistic as well. You have Dublin who are going for some money in a row, and Leinster. There's teams in Leinster that, and if we were in Leinster, we'd probably be one of those teams saying that something needs to be changed. But I definitely think if in some way they can sort of, the GAA can keep the provincials and keep the merit that's involved in that competition, but then also having a competition that's available to your Division 3 and Division 4 counties, and giving them a realistic goal and realistic achievements. I think that is also very important. Not just also having a Division 3 and Division 4, or your Challenge Cup for the sake of having a Challenge Cup, giving that a bit of credit as well, and a bit of everything that goes with that. Look, it's never going to be the Sam Maguire, but I think the GAA probably need to try and make it as attractive for players to buy into in those sort of, what you would say, weaker counties.
For sure, rather than, I think McGinley put us, that it will be the Losers' Cup, the way it's these things are sometimes framed, rather than it being a sort of inter-county version of what you might be going for with regards to a junior or intermediate club championship.
Exactly. If in every county in Ireland, the club championships mean so much to every club, junior, intermediate or senior. So I think, if the GAA really think hard about it, I'm sure that they can do that in an inter-county setting also.
It's obviously not going to be something you'll be looking to compete in anytime soon. Tyrone this weekend, I presume this is something you're looking at as a stepping stone rather than a potential giant killing after what happened last.
Yeah, look, it's we've played Tyrone a number of times in the last number of years, and we've probably come out the wrong side in it each time. So it's definitely, apart from that, it's one of those things that we want to be able to say that we went up to home and pull up a victory. But look, we're under no illusions that how difficult of a task it's going to be. And look, Tyrone are under new management. I'm sure they have a point to prove as well. So look, we just have to worry about ourselves. But I'm sure we feel like we're in a good position. The few weeks off since the league's finished has sort of given us that opportunity to play a few challenge matches and get a couple of injuries and work on a few things that we obviously didn't go to plan in the league. So I think we're happy enough with where we are at going into the Ulster Championship.
Just a reminder as well, before we let you go to Cavan-based GAA club Gauna have announced a new partnership with local member-founded sports tech startup Club Spot. So Club Spot are going to be sponsoring Gauna GAA's club grounds in a naming rights deal that is the first of its kind for a GAA club. I should mention as well, Club Spot Park will be the home of Gauna GAA as the small club aims to reach the top of Cavan football once more. And Club Spot creates mobile apps for sports clubs in order to help them communicate with their members and boost their revenues by providing a system to manage club news, events, messaging and online fundraising. Conor Madden, best of luck against Tyrone. We'll chat to you again soon.
Cheers, Owen. Thanks very much.